Hello, good evening, everyone. How was your day? Yesterday we did not hold the training. Today we are here again, and I would like to appreciate all of you for your commitment, dedication for this training. This is a 1 month free professional diploma training in peace and conflict management. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, understand that this is 1 month free professional diploma training in peace and conflict management. We have been providing this kind of training since July this year. We started with peace education just 7 days, and then we moved to emotional intelligence for 1 month. We moved to alternative dispute resolution for 1 month. We moved to peace and sustainable development. I think those that did their training on peace and sustainable development, they have started receiving their certificate already. Even today, someone was in our office who came all the way from Uganda, although on a personal assignment, but just passed through the office. He notified us, so we got him the hard copy of the certificate, and he took it to Uganda today. So and then we are now doing peace and conflict management training. So next month we'll be looking at social social justice and advocacy. Do you understand? And the flyer for it is already out. We will soon release it. Do you understand? We soon release it. But the flyer is already out so that people can start registering for the training for next month. Um, so today I want to appreciate all of you for taking time to be part of this training. Some of you have joined earlier. I see you. I was still trying to log on, but I see many of you joined already. So I really want to appreciate all of you. And then between today to Sunday, we should be able to provide you with the topics for the role playing training. Do you understand? That is why we created groups. So if you have not gotten a group yet, if you are not joined a group yet, maybe what I would do is that um, I don't know if I'm able to achieve that tonight, but I will arrange all those groups. And then those that send me their details, those that did not send me details, I will consider that that group does not exist. So we assign it to somebody else. Do you understand? So that they will create links and share so that people can join, and then we'll have people in the groups. So once we assign topics, it's going to be easy for you to be able to locate your group leaders, how to chat them, and also how to get participated in your own group. So we hope that everybody will key into this training and participate faithfully to get the right skills that is expected. Today I want us to look at something. Today we are looking at. So if you join us, tell us where you're joining us from. Uh, you tell us your name and where you're joining us from, and of course, we would like to see you share this training with someone. Invite them to be part of this today's training. Let them know that it's free. Let them know that the training is being provided for free, and they can also participate in it. All right. So, coming, give me 1 minute. Let me share the link so that other people can also join. Let me share the link with somebody, with people in the group, so that they can also join. All right. Um, Thank you very much for your patience and understanding. Let's continue with our training. Oh, all right. So if you have joined us, kindly put this on your wall. Invite somebody to also be part of this training, even if they are not joining this one. they can join the next one, or subsequent ones that we'll be providing, because by next year, from January to December, is going to be training. So we have a lot in store for you. All right. So let them know, let them join, so that they can be part of the training. Thank you very much. So today, I want us to look at I want us to look at case studies. There's a topic I wanted to take, but I will take that topic tomorrow. International law and peace, or international law and conflicts. Do you understand? I'll take that topics tomorrow. And that is, I have left two topics now. I have left um, conflict analysis. Maybe I will just take that course. I'll just take that topic one of these days, over this weekend. Maybe I'll just take it. And there's something I wanted to do, but since that thing is not coming forth, let me just take it the way I will take it. Then um, tomorrow we'll look at international law, all right, and conflict. Today we are looking at case studies and contemporary issues in peace and conflict. All right, there are several case studies uh, that we can look at so far as peace and conflict is concerned, and particularly when it has to do with conflict, because the life of a man or the life of human beings generally is characterized with conflict. All right, so conflict is a natural part of human endeavor, because there are a lot of issues that can cause conflict. Limited resource, scarce resources can also be a reason for conflict, misunderstanding, and then incompatibility of goals can also cause conflict. The struggle for power. So there are several factors that causes conflict. Do you understand? So there are several case studies if you want to look at, so many of them to look at. Do you understand? And contemporary issues in peace, because it's as if we are talking about peace, but every day we see conflict. But on the lips of every human being is, we want peace, we want peace, we want peace. But every day we are seeing conflict, and it's escalating, intensifying, and you're wondering what is the problem. And then government and states are busy um, developing weapons of mass destruction. So why are we talking about peace, but at the same time we are producing mass instrument of destruction, weapons of destruction? What are we talking about? Are we paying lip services or what? We are talking about peace. Government, head of government are talking about peace. But when you look at the budget of their military, is higher than every other department or ministry. So why is this so? I think that if really we want to achieve peace globally, then leaders should be committed at reducing the budget for the military. Do you understand? We should reduce the budget for the production of arms and machines that are meant for war. Or do you want to achieve peace by the barrel of a gun? That will only amount to negative peace. Do you understand? So if we really want to achieve positive peace, then we can do more than just producing weapons. I know somebody said that if we want peace, we should prepare for war. Is that what they are doing? No, but we shouldn't get it in that sense. All right? We know that a life of human being generally characterized with conflict, but the preparation for war here should be in a peaceful dimension. That is, just arm yourself with the skills, arm yourself with the knowledge on how to deal with conflicts when they arise. Not necessarily the weapon, no mass destruction. It should be the weapon of wisdom. Do you understand? On how to address conflicts. that should be a concern to us. It shouldn't be weapons of mass destruction. It should be weapon of knowledge on how to address conflict they are when they are arrived. You understand? But seems to us that you are talking about peace by one side of your lip, and then another side you are talking war. So the concept of war and peace are coming from the same mouth. Do you understand? So how can we address this issue? It's as if we profess peace, but at the same time, it's as if we are advocating for war by our actions. The mouth is saying peace, but the action is just drumming war. So what are we saying? What are we doing? Are we pretending? Are we being so hypocritical concerning about peace? What kind of hypocrisy is that? I do understand people, state leaders talk about peace, but when you look at their action doesn't speak peace at all. In my country, for instance, the military budget, that is the Ministry of Defense, the budget for the Ministry of Defense was over 1 trillion. 1 trillion in this budget for this year that is going. Do you understand? A budget of over 24 trillion or about 24 trillion. The Ministry of Defense alone took a trillion or more. Ministry of Education, how much? Ministry of Agriculture, how much? Ministry of Water Resources, how much? Ministry of Health, how much? Ministry of Foreign Affairs, how much? Because we don't have good relationship with our neighbors. It was the Ministry of Education that nearly destroyed Nigerian relationship with some neighboring countries because of some pronouncement. They understand. So when we look at this, the Ministry of Mining, the Ministry of Industry, how much are they taking? They understand. Just of hundreds of billions, but the Ministry of Defense took 1 trillion, 1 trillion naira. Why? I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. You understand? So you can see the irony. We don't want to pay education. We don't want to. We don't want to pay for labor, Ministry of Labor, so that they can create more jobs. We don't want to pay for Ministry of Youth. We sort of sport activities will be developed, and so many activities will be developed, and young people can be engaged. Don't want to bring industries that will manufacture and produce things, but we are busy pay money for the weapons, go and buy military war for what? And sometimes they use this instrument to brutalize their people. They use this instrument as instrument of intimidation. You understand? So these are contemporary issues in peace that we are talking about here and conflict. You understand? So we have several case studies, like I said. If we want to talk about the case studies of conflict, we have several of them. And then, of course, we have um, some of them that we're looking at. We look at the the main causes, the historical aspect, the causes, the initiatives that have been taken to resolve those conflicts, and the challenges that have been confronted in trying to address those issues. So this is what we're going to look at this evening, and I hope that at the end of today's training, you will not leave this place, empty-handed. All right, you have something to tell someone if you are asked to talk about the subject matter that we are discussing here today. All right, so we're looking at case studies and contemporary issues in peace and conflict. So now we have several case studies, like for instance, the Syrian civil war is a case study. We have the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar. You understand? We have the Ukraine and Russia conflict. We have the Israeli Palestinian conflict. These are case studies of conflict that we are going to look at. We look at Ethiopia's Tigray conflict. We look at climate change and conflict. We look at Rwanda case studies, as the case may be. Do you understand? These are issues that are a matter of concern to us so far as this matter is concerned. But um, the, one of the case studies that we're going to look at today, we may look at few of them because there are several of them. So, but we'll just pick few of them and look at them, and then you can decide to go ahead and research some of them so that you can have an understanding of what they are all about. Do you understand? So we are going to look at the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is what is happening right now. Every day we are, it's about Israel. In fact, it's so, I mean, the situation is so terrible. Do you understand? The situation is so terrible. Um, the conflict that started, although it has been a long conflict anyway, but the recent event that started last year October kill more people than the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Do you understand? So, but I want us to look at um, this conflict. So we'll look at the background, the historical background, we'll look at the main causes of this conflict, and then we will look at some of the challenges associated with this conflict. Do you understand? So that is what we're going to look at today. Tomorrow we'll be looking at another case study. Do you understand? So the Israeli-Palestine conflict is one of the longest standing and most complex conflicts in modern history. It's so complex, it's so for over 70 years. This conflict has been for more than 70 years, this conflict has been in existence. So complex, so challenging. Why? Why? Because it evolves around issues that has to do with identity, national identity. It has to do with historical claims to land, political sovereignty, and religious significance. Do you understand? So there are several issues surrounding this conflict, and these issues make what this conflict so complex, so difficult to even intervene, so difficult to be resolved. And that's why it has lasted for more than 70 good years, because of the complexity of the conflict. Several efforts have been made to resolve this conflict, but the intertwined nature and you know the demands that follow this particular conflict, they are so complex that addressing them becomes a challenge on its own. You understand? So, but several efforts have been made, and all the efforts, either they see one side as saying yes, or the other side saying no. Do you understand? So that's why the conflict has been like that. That's why even international organizations that are expertise or have expertise in conflict resolution have not been able to resolve this one, because it's so complex with several factors responsible for the ongoing and for the continuation of this conflict. So, but let's look at the historical background of this conflict briefly. All right, let's look at the historical background of this conflict. It is believed that in 1517 to in 1948, there was what we call the Ottoman and the British rule. Do you understand? Now, that is to say that the Ottoman was in control. It was a kind of an empire, and the Ottoman rule was in charge. The Ottoman was in charge. You understand? And then, but the advent of colonial masters brought the issue of the British rule in, because there was a war, just like we had the issue of colonial masters even in our country here. We had kings like King Jaja of Opopo, and several of them resisted the entrance of the white men. Do you understand? I remember in my own state of Benue, also they suffer challenges to dominate or take over Benue State or the Tiv Nation generally, because they resisted them like anything else. You understand? But eventually they succeeded, just like they also succeeded here. I'm talking about Ottoman now. So the British Empire, the British rule, the British colonial masters took over from the Ottoman. So, but it says that for centuries the area known as Israel and Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. All right. So during this time, it's believed that various religious and ethnic groups, including the Jews, the Muslims, and Christians, coexisted, though often with social hierarchies. Do you understand? That with hierarchical issues. Do you understand? So, but these three form of religions were, in existence together. They, under the Ottoman Empire, all of these religious beliefs were in place. The Christians were there, the Muslims were there, the Jews were there. So nobody should say that, oh, it was the Muslims that were there, oh, it was the Jews that were there, oh, it was the Christians that were there. But all of them coexisted together. Do you understand? I think today we have some Arabs that are Christian, we have some Arabs that are Jews, and then some Arabs that are Muslim, or majority of them being Muslims. You understand? So let's look at the British mandate. So following the Ottoman Empire's defeat in World War One, that is, the Ottoman Empire suffered defeat during the World War One. Do you understand? Right? And so Britain gained control over Palestine under a League of Nations. If you if you do not study government, go and study government too, so that you understand what is the League of Nations. All right, under the League of Nations mandate in 1920. So you understand that the Ottoman Empire has been there for quite a long time, just like we too were here, but not particularly under any form of. So we're just there and living as a communist people, living, socializing, and doing our thing until a very standardized group of people just came and said the way you are living is not good. Come and live better. You understand the colonial master. So the same thing happens here. They were just living, but the British Empire now took over, right, and control after the First World War. And then the British promised to facilitate a national home for the Jews, the Jewish people, as outlined in the 1917 Balfour Declaration. All right, so take, just go and see what the declaration says. The Balfour Declaration. If you're not aware, if I've not seen it, go and see what the declaration says, so that you have a deep understanding. So that some of you used to argue blindly, some of you just sentiment sometimes make you just argue and argue sentimental about religion. You understand? You argue and argue. Some of you argue in favor, some of you argue against based on your belief. You understand? You forget the reality, you forget the fact. So, but also pledge to respect the rights of existing Arab communities, but also pledge to do what? Respect the rights of existing Arab world communities. Now, let's look at this. Jewish immigration and tensions. 1920s to 1940s, the Jewish immigration. So Jewish immigration to Palestine increased particularly due to rising anti-Semitism in Europe and later the horrors of the Holocaust. So the local Arab population, feeling that its land and political autonomy were threatened, began to resist this influx. Arab revolts. So between 1936 and 1939, Arabs in Palestine revolted against the British rule and Jewish immigration. The British quelled this revolt and struggle, but also struggled to manage the growing tension. So now you see the battle has been there for a while. You understand? So the resistance has been there for a while. But no, the history may span beyond the 15th century or the whatever century that we're talking about. There may some be there may be some other historical issues that may be here in place. Do you understand? So whatever we are saying here may not speak holistically on this conflict because this conflict is more of is historical conflict inclined. It's more historical inclined. Do you understand? Because history is so much involved and it's a matter in this conflict because the history itself has been manipulated, abused, and uh, what would I say? Um, Polluted. The history itself has been polluted, diffused. It's the originality of the story itself has been tampered with. Do you understand? Because so many viewpoints coming from different background people, everybody telling the story to suit their beliefs. Do you understand? And suit their own tribe and religion. So many stories are out there. So sometimes you find it which one you should go with. Find it difficult to go with. Do you understand? So these are the issues. So but there are several historical issues that has to do with. Some of them has to do with the holy scriptures. You understand? I'm talking about when I'm talking about holy scriptures, I'm not just talking about the Bible alone, I'm talking about also the Holy Quran as well. Do you understand? All of these are holy books, all of them talk about these issues. Do you understand? They have histories. So if like based on my understanding in those days, we have what we call the Persian Empire. If some of you don't know, when we're talking in those days, we were talking about the Persian Empire, the Persian Empire. Some of you doesn't know that Persia is what we call Iran now. Iran is the one that we know the Persian Empire. Do you understand? In those days, Persian. Do you understand? They are the current people call Iran. If we talk about Babylonians, where is Babylonians then? In the current Pakistan. You understand? And that's where Babylonian was. You understand? So this has history. So a lot of things have changed, names change, several things change. Do you understand? And many people argue that the current Palestine that we're talking about now were the ones that biblically were referred to as Philistines. Do you understand? Palestine, Philistines. Do you understand? So all of these things have changed, names change, and a lot of stories crafted out. Do you understand? So sometimes you find it difficult to believe which story that is true. But that's the nature of the conflict. And this made this conflict so complex and so difficult to resolve. Do you understand? So if somebody is telling you today, now as we are speaking here, that that conflict is going to resolve in the next 10 years, then we're waiting for the miracle to happen. Because Palestinians are not willing to let go East Jerusalem or Abi West Jerusalem. Do you understand? The West Bank. They are not willing because they are claiming something there. So they are not willing to let go. They consider it to be part of their territory. Do you understand? So they cannot let go. So don't expect that conflict to end so soon. The only thing is that the level of destruction will be abated, but the ending is far from realization. The reason being that the complex nature of the conflict, except a particular party will decided to sacrifice. But so far as and another challenge again, even the issue of two-state factor is also a challenge. So we feel that that should be the best solution, but Israel is particularly concerned about its security. Just like Russia did not want Ukraine to join NATO, because Russia understands the implication of Ukraine joining NATO. Why? It means that the allies of Ukraine now will come and have their military base close to Russia, and Russia don't want that. Don't want the West to come and be monitoring. So this territory and security will be threatened. Do you understand? So they don't want that to happen. So the only thing that will make the conflict in Ukraine to end is when Ukraine rescind the idea of joining NATO. And I think that's what President Trump is going to be able to achieve, to convince the Ukraine president to forget that thing and let it be. And Russia also forget about all those, maybe one sacrifice here and there, and then that conflict will be resolved. Do you understand? That conflict can easily be resolved compared to this particular conflict we are talking about here. So, but Arabs revolted, and their revolt were also quelled by the British rule. But the British rule was not able to, you know, totally deal with the tension that was growing. And that tension continues even up to this very moment we are talking about here now. We were small when we started hearing the conflict. The conflict has never ended, right? So in 1947, the UN partition plan, the UN partition world plan in 1947. So after World War II, the United Nations proposed a partition plan to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. With Jerusalem as an international zone. With Jerusalem as what? International zone. Now listen to this. That is, Jerusalem was not going to be was not going to belong to Jews or to Israel, neither was it going to belong to Palestine. It was going to be an international zone. Jews accepted the plan, but Arabs rejected. Are you getting the point now? The Jews accepted what? The plan, but Arabs rejected it, believing it unfairly, believing it unfairly favored the Jewish population despite their smaller numbers at the time. I get the gist now. Now you see, and this how this conflict has been. Either one party accept one thing, the other party say no, and it has continued like that. Any proposal, if we go into some of the initiative, you will see it. One party will accept yes, the other will say no, and that is how the conflict persists. Do you understand? So the Palestinians said no because they felt that it was so unfair because largely they were more in population than the Jews. So why would they be denied of having the opportunity of having the of Judaism, and then you say it's going to be an international zone. No, it's not going to be possible. It's going to be ours. We refuse this channel. We refuse this plan. I get the point now. Hmm. Now look at it. 1948 war and formation of Israel. The 1948 war and formation of Israel. So when the state of Israel declared independence in May 1948, neighboring Arab states supporting Palestinian Arabs launched an invasion, leading to the first Arab-Israeli war. Israel emerged what victorious, expanding its territory beyond the UN partition plan. Now, an opportunity come. Now, it is like in, in war. Then, when you defeat your enemy, you take over their territory. Do you understand? So Israel emerged in this case as victorious, and then they push Palestinians even more further out of their land. Do you understand? And then you know, take spoils of their land. Do you understand? They just take spoils of their land and push them away. That's why you see some of them in Lebanon, some of them in neighboring Arab countries. They are there, but they are originally they're Palestinians. Some of them don't even have the dream of going back again. They don't have. You understand? Considering the fact that the war is still even ongoing, they are not even thinking it. You understand? So hundreds of thousands of Palestinian Arabs flew or were expelled. Either flew, some flew because they were afraid of death, some tried to resist but were expelled from their land. If you try to do nonsense, you'll be killed. You understand? So some of them ran. So becoming refugees in neighboring countries, a major point of contention even to this day. That's why you see now it's as if the matter is in Gaza and in Lebanon. Do you understand? Even if Syria want to talk, they receive a bomb blast. If Iran want to talk, they receive a bomb blast. Do you understand? And several issues. So it has been tension over and over. So that's just the brief history of that conflict. If you want to go into details of it, you see several things, several opinionic issues. People say a lot of things, opinionated issues. People don't say that. Some people just come up with, so much stories to tell. So there are so many documents out there to go and read if you want to. You read until you yourself you get confused. So when you are confused and you are tired, you just conclude by yourself that when you are in Nigeria, so whatever happens, happens. But whatever happens, don't just happen. It has a starting, it has an origin or an origination, and we must deal with that. It must be addressed. So let's look at the key. Let's look at some of the causes of this conflict. Okay, let's look at the causes of this conflict. Right. Let's look at some of these causes. Let's look at some of the key causes of this conflict. The issue of competing nationalisms. Number one cause of this problem is competing what? Nationalisms. We have the Zionists or the Zionism, we have the Palestinians, we have the as the issue. That is the Zionism and the Palestinian nationalism. All right, these are the issues. I think you have been hearing issues like that. Zionism, Zion, something, something. Do you understand? So Zionism, this Jewish nationalist movement, advocated for a return to the historic Jewish homeland with deep religious and historical ties to the land. Do you understand now? The Zionists also believe that they are not just like taking they are not just they believe that they are not just intruding. For them, they are coming back to their homeland. Now, if you go through biblical scriptures, you hear stories of when the Jews were taken into captivity by the Babylonians. You hear the story of Daniel in Babylonians, how they were doing with Esther and all of them in Babylonia, them slaves. Do you understand? How all those stories of Prophet Jeremiah saying that people were taken into captivity and at the same time, after 70 years, all those stories. Do you understand? All those stories of Israel staying in Egypt for how many years? Do you understand? So for them, they were also returning back home, not that they were taking anybody's land. That is their belief. Oh. That is what they are saying here. So for them, the Jewish nationalist movement advocated for a return to the historic Jewish homeland. I get the point now. So you understand their mentality, you understand their beliefs. Do you understand? So if you feel that, oh, they are taking Palestinians' land, they are believing that this land originally belongs to them, but they were taken into captivity or somehow sojourned somewhere and now they are returning. Or they were they taken or they moved, because there are so many wars. These wars have been there in history. Like I told you before, the current Iran, the state of Iran, is what we call Persia, the Persian Empire, Persia and Media. Do you understand? Medes. So, so those wars were there. I told you, like story like Babylonians, state of Babylonia. You will not hear it. You will not hear the name like Babylonians or Babylonians. But do you know where it is? Pakistan. Do you understand? So you go and just check some of these things you see. All right. So now, so this the Jews nationalist movement. No, just say we are returning home. We are returning to our homeland. Do you understand? So with deep what religious and historical ties to the land. Religious and historical ties to the land. Are you seeing the challenge now? This is where problem is. So with deep religious and historical ties to the land. Hey, oh my goodness. All right, let's look at something. We have what we call the Palestinian nationalism. All right, the Palestinian what nationalism. The Arab residents of Palestine sought autonomy and later a sovereign state, opposing the establishment of a Jewish state in what they saw as their homeland. You see the challenge, right? So the Israelis believe that they are coming back to their homeland. The Palestinians are claiming that this is their land. All right, we are coming back home. Someone here is claiming that it is my land. All right, it's my land. And now, if you go to if you go to if you go into if you study Bible very well, and for some of us that we're student of Bible, where we used to recite Bible verses and they do quiz competition. So we ransack the Bible and bring out so many issues. Do you understand? When um, when we talk about the promised land, which we call the land of Canaan, do you understand? Then you see where okay, the Israel were coming out of Egypt. This is the belief, and this is what the Bible says, coming out of Egypt. And when they got to a particular place, Joshua, Moses sent some spies to go and spy the land of Canaan and come back. All right. And so when they went there, they came back and they came with a story. All right. When they went, they came back. Did they say that the land was empty? There was nobody there? No, there were human beings there. And so, who are those human beings? This thing we're talking about now should make meaning to you. All right. Palestinians nationalisms. Arab residents of Palestine sought autonomy. All right. So all those ones are the Persians, the Philistines, as in those days, the Edomites, the the all of those ones, right? The Jebusites, all of them were what we have today as Arabs nations. Do you understand? The Arabs nations. Do you understand? And they were there. So the people came back and told Moses, "We see the Anaks, that is the giant people, and in their eyes we are like the grasshoppers." Do you understand? So there were people there. It was not an empty land. People were there. People were living there, and these people said they were going to their own land. And the other people say we are in our own land. So you see how this conflict, because it has to do with religious issues, it has to do with belief systems, it has to do with a lot of things, a lot of claims here and there. So you see how complex this conflict is, right? To resolve. You know, it is now that it's hardly for people to fight war and take territory like in those days. In those days, people fight wars and take territory. Do you understand? Take territory. Even in Nigeria here, we experienced that as a time point when even some nationalists or some tribes were trying to take over some certain other tribes, and there were resistance here and there and all of those stuff. Do you understand? So there were fights here and there. They will talk about the Korarafa. Do you understand? When we talk about the Korarafa kingdom, we will talk about the Jukuns, the thieves, the Igalas, the Edomans. Do you understand? All those things. There were war going on there. Just to each of the nationalities, the nations trying to like, or the nationalists trying to take over some territories. Do you understand? And settle there. Do you understand? And so that is it. If you go and read the story of the Tea people, they will tell you the story of how they journey from Congo and they cross the river, and the snake helped them to cross into the present place where they are today. Do you understand? That's why if you go to my place, there's one particular snake, they don't kill it, they call it the carrion snake, that green snake, small, tiny like my finger. They don't kill that snake. Personally, we don't kill it. I myself, I grew up seeing the snake, but we don't kill it. Sometimes in our thatch houses, it stay there on our roof. Do you understand? It will be in our roof, but we don't kill it because it's practically harmless. It doesn't harm anybody. Do you understand? It's a snake, but it's practically in the roof with us, and it doesn't harm anybody, so nobody cares to harm it. Do you understand? So nothing concerns. And the belief here is that this particular snake was the one that was responsible for the crossing of the river, because it stretched itself over the river and the people crossed to where they are today. And where they were at that time, they fought conflict, they fought war to maintain that place, because when they arrived, there were other nationalists or nations or tribes that were there. Do you understand? Like the Jukun, the other ones, they were there. Do you understand? So they have to they fought war to get the place where they are. So in those days, people were moving and fighting and taking territories. Do you understand? Fighting and taking territories. The Fulanis where they are in Nigeria today is as a result of fight. They fight and take territories. Do you understand? So we have those kind of things happening in those days. So it was not a strange thing for people to come and fight if they overtake if they defeat you, they take your territory and they spare you out. Do you understand? And sometimes exterminate you and take your territory. Do you understand? So in these things was happening. So that's what we say. It say here that the Arabs, the Palestinians at that time, they revolted. But what happened? The Israelites defeated them and pushed them and spared them out of the land and take over the land. So these issues were there. Now the king will believe that this land belongs to us. These people here say this land is our own. I don't know that you're understanding this story that I'm trying to. I'm just trying to bring out something. I'm just trying more. I'm throwing more light so that you understand what we're trying to deal with here. So when you are here wondering why this conflict is not ending, when will this conflict end? See the complex nature of this conflict. That's what I'm trying to. This is the picture I'm trying to paint in your head now, to see the complexity of this conflict and it is why it's becoming so difficult to resolve this conflict. Religious struggles or religious significance. Religious significance is also another cause of conflict, of this particular conflict. Jerusalem holds profound religious significance for Jews, Muslims, and Christians. I get a point now. I was listening to one one Islamic preacher, and he says that the Palestinians are fighting to protect their religious artifacts and, of course, their faith, because they believe that Jerusalem holds something significant to their own religion. So, and they cannot. So, the Muslim worldwide should support them. Why? Because they are fighting to preserve the heritage of the Muslim faith. Are you getting? Are you hearing the? I listened to that preaching very well. Do you understand? I listened to what the man was saying very well. Do you understand? So, and he was calling Muslim worldwide to support Palestinians. Now, if you look at how Christians worldwide also support Israel, that is why America is always on the side of Israel, no matter what. If you like call war crime, say war crime A to Z, America still support Israel. UK still support Israel because they were even there. They were the ones that created what we have today. So if they are shouting in their chambers and calling for restraint and all of that, you know that it's not from their heart. They will say Israel is committing war crimes, but Israel will never be held accountable. Why? Some religious interlock. Do you understand? So the Christians are yearning to ways that the Muslim also say we have something here. The Christians say we have something here. The Jews say we have something here. So, but from the beginning, I told you that even in the times of what the Ottoman, it has said that these three will coexisting. So it shouldn't be a strange thing if all of them are laying claim. You understand? All of them are laying claim because it's even from the history that we have said, we have read, it says that the three of them coexisted in that place. Christians were there, Muslims were there, what do you call it? The Jews were there. And of course, the pagans were there. We don't want to talk about the pagans because, but the pagans were also there. So if all of them are laying claims on that city, then we cannot deny it. We cannot blame them for it. Do you understand? Because all of them have some level of affinity so far as this place is concerned. So if there's some Muslim people are saying we have something here, we cannot leave it. The Christians are saying we have something here, we cannot leave it. The Jews say we have something here, we cannot leave it. Then all of them are correct because from the beginning it says that all of them coexisted in that place. I think it's making sense to you now, right? So if all of them are laying claim, so don't blame anybody. They are laying claim based on what is in existence. So the only thing here is that the strong one is taking control and taking charge. Then the lesser one is suffering for it. That's just what is happening. It now is a matter of who the powerful controls and take it all. That's just what is happening here. And that's the right now Israel is exercising. That's the privilege Israel is using because by nature it's more powerful than. You understand? So that's it. So another cause of this conflict is territory and borders. Territory and what? Borders. So the 1949 armistice lines, that is often referred to as the Green Line, created boundaries between Israel and its neighbors, but there was no agreement on permanent borders. I see a problem now. There was no agreement on what permanent borders. Israel control over the West Bank, Gaza Strips, and East Jerusalem captured during the 1967 Six-Day War remains a point of contention. Palestinians seek these territories as part of a future independent state. That's why they don't want to let go. Because it was a 6-day war, but the devastation that that war caused. 6 days, in 6 days, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Israel were able to push Palestinians and spare them to move. Just like what's happening in Gaza Strip now. If assuming Gaza is not, if Gaza is a place that they want to take, for instance, now, maybe they would have pushed them to, I don't know, the place that will go now. Do you understand? Because you see the level of destruction that is going on there. Who want to stand? Standing is dead. So the best thing for you is to move and move. And I can tell you that in many of them that are waiting to do, left that place since and they are living their life somewhere. You understand? Even the Hamas leaders themselves that caused the war, some of them were in Qatar enjoying themselves. The other one that was key in Iran, he came from somewhere. I think he came from Qatar to attend the swearing and then he was killed. So this 6 days war or 6-day war, a 6-day war that pushed. So these places that Israel took are the places that are also more contentious because the Palestinians are demanding for the release of those places because they believe that this, is where they will consider as their own when they finally get their own state. You understand? When they will finally get their own sovereignty. And that is one thing that Israel is not tolerating at all. The reason is that, like I told you, Once the Palestinians get their own independence, Iran can have their military base in that even West Jerusalem. Do you understand? They can put there because they say that place is going to be their capital. Iran can come and put their military base there and be prognosing in Israel's territory. And do you think Israel will allow that? That's the same thing that Russia is refusing to allow for Ukraine to join NATO. Once Ukraine join NATO, NATO will have their all the members of NATO, all the members of NATO will have their military base in Ukraine, close to Russia, looking, prognosing and looking, peeping into Russia's territory. And Russia doesn't like that thing. You understand? Don't want to tolerate it. So that's the same thing we're talking about here. So Israel is trying to, if they foresaw this thing and they are trying to protect their interests, they don't want such neighbors around them. They don't want such kind of intruders. They don't want such kind of nuisance. So this is what they're trying to stop now. And that's why this conflict is more than, that's why two-state factor is not yet yielded a result, because they feel that immediately they give Palestinians their own state, they are in for trouble. Do you understand now? So the people that are suggesting two-state factor also understand the implication of that thing. And that is why the UN cannot enforce it to happen. And that's why any effort, any attempt to enforce that, US always use its own veto power. Quench it. Do you understand? So that is the issue. So some countries say we recognize Palestinian as independent state. Oh, sovereign state, where does it go? Has the United Nations recognized Palestinian as an independent state? Are you understanding international politics? So this is another challenge. Territory and borders. Refugees and rights of return. Refugees and rights of what? Return. Palestinian refugees and their descendants displaced since 1948 claim the right to return to their former homes. If Israel claimed the same rights of return, which they say we are the Zionists, they advocated for the right to return to their homeland, then the Palestinians also are saying that we too can return to our homeland. Are you understanding something? So these are the issues. Are you understanding now? So now look at this. So Israel argues that accepting this right would undermine its Jewish majority, because in the first place, then the reason why Palestine refused Jerusalem to be an international zone was because they felt that they were the majority that were there, and so that place should be given to them instead of putting it to be an international zone. And then Israel accepted it then, but Palestine felt that that was a cheating, so we will not accept that. Do you understand? We will not accept it. Let it be given to us. And so they refused to accept that partition that was conducted by the United Nations. Are you getting a point now? Now, Israel now is saying that if you allow these people to come in like that, they will overwhelm the Jews because of their population. Arabs can give population. You understand? So one man alone married 4 wives, 5 wives, some more, and get 30 children. So they can get population. Do you understand? So comes back with that population. They will overwhelm Israel and anything is possible. So the Jews are saying, no, 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 no. If we allow this thing, its Jewish majority can be what? Undermined. It can be undermined. And so insist on absorbing only a limited number of refugees. That is, oh my goodness. Only few will only allow few to come back, but not all. They should stay where they are. Stay where they are. I say something. So security and violence, waves of violence, including the two intifadas, that is Palestinian uprising in the late 20th century, have deepened mistrust on both sides. Militant groups like Hamas have carried out attacks against Israelis, while Israel's military responses and occupation policies have fueled Palestinian resentment and resistance. Are you understanding it? So another one is Israeli settlement. So since 1967, Israel has established settlement in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. These are considered illegal under what international law, though Israel disputes this and have led to further tension. These have led to further tensions. The settlement creates a fragmented landscape that complicates the establishment of a contiguous Palestinian state. Do you understand what they mean contagious here? That is, if at all now you want to create a Palestinian state, those settlements now have made issues so difficult, because they have built settlement, Israelis are settling there. So you want to create a state. How okay, like okay, you say West Bank. How are they going to deal with the Israel that have settlement there now? Do you understand? It's going to be very, very difficult. So it's complicated the whole issue. The strategy to make things look so impossible. You understand? And but those territories, those settlements have been considered to be what illegal. So let's look at some of the initiatives that have been, put in place to see that this conflict is resolved. Let's look at those initiatives. What are those initiatives, and what is the outcome? We have several of them here, and we'll look at the outcome of those initiatives. Do you understand? All right. Let's look at those initiatives. So we have UN Partition Plan 1947. The UN Partition Plan 1947. So objective, the United Nations proposed to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and what Arab states. Because like I told you before, there are some Jews that are Arabs. They are Muslims. There are some Arabs that are Christians. You understand? There are some Jewish people that are Muslim, and there are some Arabs that are not Christian. So, but we have all of them that were living here, both Christians and the Jews or whatever, and the Muslims were living here. You understand? And now they want to separate them. Let's have a state for the Jewish and then a state for the Muslims, the Arabs. So, and this has been the challenge. So this proposal was rejected, right? Jews accepted the plan, but Palestinian Arabs. So with Jerusalem as an international zone, like we said before, with Jerusalem as what international zone, Jews accepted the plan, but Palestinian Arabs and neighboring Arab states rejected it, leading to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Israel declared independence, expanding beyond the proposed border. Now, opportunity came. They say, okay, since people are rejected, we will even push you go further. And they use whatever they have to push them to go back. And then they take more lands. You understand? They push them to go back. They took more lands. Arabs to themselves. So why Palestinian Arabs became refugees? You see how bad it is. Because they refuse. When they refuse, assuming they accepted, maybe by now we would have that Jerusalem as an international zone where everybody, you the Palestinian, can also come in and go your way without laying any claim on it. The Jews will also go in, do because one, they say they were living together, Christian, Muslim, and the Jews were living together here. So if that zone, that international zone, Jerusalem became the international zone, any faith can come in, do whatever your rituals, and return back to your state. Jews also do their rituals, return back to their state. Christian, come do your rituals, return back to where you come from. You understand? There wouldn't have been any issue. In fact, we wouldn't have had the conflict that we're having now, maybe. But the Palestinians say no. So the Jews now say, okay, since you have said no, we will Kokuma take over this place and push you out of it. And this is just exactly what is happening now. You understand? So Palestinians now, they don't have a state, number one. They are refugees in other countries. Two, they are still fighting resistance. You understand? So it's a terrible situation. People are dying more, and which is not supposed to be so. In peace and conflict resolution, we talk about the issue of compromise. Sometimes you compromise the things just to move on. You refuse to accept. Okay, no, that land was not allocated to anybody. We say that this place, Jerusalem, should just be an international zone. Anybody can come in. You can come in. I can come in. The other person can come in. But you feel no. You say no because you felt that you were so populous. And of course, you should be considered based on your population. You have a larger population, you should be considered. And now you are not considered. Again, you are pushed out. Now you are struggling and laying claim. Sometimes if we can reason very far, we can avoid certain things. So now it's becoming a problem now. Even now, to even come close to that Jerusalem now that Jerusalem now, Trump recognized it as the capital of Israel, moved the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I get a point now. So now it means that the Palestinians are, it's now becoming so difficult to lay claim on that place again. So number two initiative to resolve this conflict is the Camp David Accords in 1978. Camp David Accords in 1978, projected brokered by the U.S. President Jimmy Carter. These agreements aim to establish peace between Israel and Egypt, right? While primary focus on Egypt-Israel relationship. They also outline a framework for Palestinian self-governance in the West Bank and Gaza. Palestinian self-governance in the West Bank and Gaza. That's why we have what we call the the Palestinian Authority, who govern in the West Bank, while in Gaza, the Hamas leaders took over. Do you understand? Do you understand the thing there? That's we have a control of the Palestinian government, which is being recognized by Israel. They say govern themselves in the West Bank. But when you go to Gaza, you discover that the Hamas are the ones that are in charge. So the outcome is that Israel and Egypt signed a peace treaty in 1979, making Egypt the first Arab state to recognize Israel. While it succeeded in fostering Israel-Egypt peace, it did not lead to Palestinian independence, as the framework for self-rule was not implemented. So now, now that self-rule was not implemented, but there were elements that were put in place to facilitate that to happen. Because we have what we call the Palestinian Authority. They govern themselves here. They govern themselves there. Do you understand? Although under the control of Israel, but they govern themselves to do their elections. And it was that election that even in Gaza caused the Hamas to take over the leadership of that place. Do you understand? And then, of course, build network for their own activities. And that is what Israel is claiming to be destroying now, those network, all those tunnels and all those things and whatever that buildings that they have been built to be hiding and doing their operations. That's why Israel is claiming to be destroying now. Do you understand? We have the Madrid conference in 1991. Madrid what conference in 1991. So objectives. This conference hosted by what Spain with support from the US and the Soviet Union aimed to bring Israel, Palestinians, and neighboring Arab states to negotiate peace for the first time since 1948 war. No, Spain recently recognized Palestine as an independent state, right? So, outcome why the conference itself didn't result in direct agreement. It laid the groundwork for further negotiation between Israel and Palestine, eventually leading to the Oslo Accord. Oslo Accords. Okay, so let's look at Oslo Accords. 1993 to 1995, projective secret negotiation between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization led to a series of agreements aimed at achieving a two-state solution. The accords established the Palestinian Authority, which I was talking about, Palestinian Authority for limited self-governance, self-governance, and call for Israel's phased withdrawal from part of the West Bank and Gaza. See steps, right? So why the accords allow for limited Palestinian self-rule, key issues such as Jerusalem. Now listening, just listen to this. Why the accords allow for limited Palestinian self-rule, key issues such as Jerusalem, refugees, and borders were left unresolved. Who govern Jerusalem? Who take charge? Nobody discussed that one. The borders, the borders will say that they were not permanent borders. So the borders were as porous as anything, even though the green line, whatever they were talking about, didn't say permanented those demarcations. Do you understand? So those issues were unresolved. The issue of refugees returning also were not discussed. And these are some of the causes of the conflict that we're talking about, right? So the process broke down and growing distrust, violence, and the assassination of Israel Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in 1995. You can see now. You can see that issue now. So Camp David Summit 2000. So objective US President Bill Clinton hosted Israel Prime Minister Ehud Barak and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat in a last attempt to reach a final peace settlement. Key topics included borders, the status of Jerusalem, and the right of return for Palestinian refugees. Those issues that were left in the Oslo Accords. The Camp David Summit wanted to address them. Do you understand? So what was the outcome? The summit failed. It failed woefully, as neither side could agree on major issues, especially regarding Jerusalem and refugees. The second intifada, a period of intensified violence, erupted shortly afterward, further diminishing hopes for peace. The death. There's no hope. So you are seeing the challenges, right? So we have the roadmap for peace 2003 objective proposed by the US, the EU, Russia, and the UN, known as the Quartet. The roadmap outlines steps towards a two-state solution, including Palestinian statehood and security guarantees for Israel. So it called for an end to violence, Palestinian reforms, and an Israeli settlement freeze, right? And Israeli settlement what freeze. That is, those settlement Israel established should what freeze. So outcome, both sides initially accepted the roadmap, but implementation failed. Israel continued settlement expansion. You understand? That is, they accepted that the expansion of settlement should stop, but when the implementation, that was in the level of agreement, but in the implementation was why. That is, the implementation did not go as accepted or as planned. You understand? So, and that is one thing in plan and implementation. It's possible that you can agree on something and do something else. So it went wide, and then Israel continued with their expansion, and then internal division among Palestinians, as well as ongoing violence, hindered progress. The roadmap became largely ineffective. All right. So the Annapolis Conference 2007, hosted by US President George Washington Bush, the Annapolis Conference sought a final agreement on two states, encouraging Israel and the Palestinian Authority to negotiate core issues such as refugees, borders, and Jerusalem. These three issues are the main contentions here. Do you understand? So outcome, though the conference marked a renewed commitment to peace, it did not result in a binding agreement. Political changes in both Israel and Palestine, along with rising tensions in Gaza, further stalled the peace process. Because one thing will just come to scatter whatever agreement that is put in place. Like maybe some group of people, maybe Palestinian may feel that, oh, this agreement is not working as we wanted or as expected. So they will attack. Do you understand? Oh, the Israelites, they feel that this thing may not work as we want, so let's do something to trigger something. So sometimes they will do something that will cause the Palestinians to feel bad and then attack, and then conflict escalate, and then everything scatters. It's like we are going back to square one. Do you understand? Like the issue now, it has scattered a lot of several effort and agreement and arrangement. Now it's like we have come back to square one. Now we have to go back and negotiate again. Are you understanding this thing? So we have 213 to 214 Kerry negotiation. So the US Secretary of State John Kerry launched talks aimed at reviving peace negotiation and reaching a framework for a two-state solution, including addressing security, borders, refugees, and the status of Jerusalem. What is the outcome? The negotiation ultimately collapsed in 2014 due to deep divisions on key issues, continued Israeli settlement building, and internal Palestinian conflict between Hamas and the Fatah. Was this the one that was, we call them the PA, that is the PA authority, that's the Palestinian authority, are not working in line with the Hamas. They are pursuing different agendas. Do you understand? And so, of course, Hamas felt that those ones are not doing the right thing, and the way they are going, maybe it may not give them hope of getting what they want at the end of the day. So it's better to go the other way. And that's why we're having the conflict we're having now. Do you understand? But that Fatah, the PA are not just they are not for violence, they just want to continue to have their own peace. Then lastly, what we're going to look at, or two more, we have the Trump peace plan. Trump, the one that is re-elected now, Trump peace plan 2020. The Trump administration unveiled a peace to prosperity plan for proposing a two-state solution. They proposed economic development for Palestinians and envisioned a Palestinian state in parts of the West Bank, with a capital in East Jerusalem suburbs, while allowing Israel to annex large settlements. While allowing what Israel to annex what large settlements. So the plan was widely rejected by Palestinians, who saw it as bias in favor of Israel interests, because annexing a large settlement, what does that mean to you? So the plan did not. Uh, so who saw it as bias in favor of Israel interests, as it will allow Israel to retain most of its West Bank settlement. Are you going to point out? The plan did not lead to any direct negotiation, though it did coincide with the signing of the Abraham Accords. So let's look at the Abraham Accords, and that's the last one we're looking at. The Abraham Accords, this agreement normalized diplomatic relationship between Israel and several Arab countries, including the United Arab Emirates, the Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco, with encouragement from the US. So outcome, Egypt already has no problem with Israel. Do you understand? So while these accords mark a significant shift in regional relations, they did not directly address the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Palestinian Authority viewed them as a betrayal, as they did not advance the Palestinian cause, but rather demonstrated Arab state willingness to pursue peace with Israel independently. Do you understand? So some of those states just have their independent peace, arrangement, not minding what's happening there. But if you look at these issues, all of these issues are still based on the stories that used to go on. Because sometimes some of these empires used to fight to dominate. Some of those kingdoms used to fight. Sometimes they'll Cold War and come together to fight. But sometimes they go their separate way. Do you understand? So those issues have been there. They have been there ever since. So let's look at current challenges and the path forward. Sorry, our time has expired, but we know we started late. But we started 10 minutes behind schedule. So let's say we have 3 minutes to finish. All right. So um, current challenges and the path forward. Two-state versus one-state debate is a challenge. Two-state versus what? One-state debate. The possibility of a two-state solution is debated, given what? Ongoing settlement expansion, territorial fragmentation, and political divisions, which are the strategies Israel is putting in place to make sure that these things become so difficult to even discuss. And they have the means, they have the authority, they have the power to make it happen. So they're making it happen. So it's becoming so even difficult to discuss it. So they're doing this to make sure that they frustrate every effort and make these Palestinians accept their fate and just accept whatever given to them as state and move. So humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Gaza remains under severe economic conditions, further complicated by internal Palestinian political conflict between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. They themselves are not on the same mission, pushing different missions, different intentions, different interests. And so it's like a snake biting against itself. And so it's becoming so difficult. Do you understand? So, and the humanitarian crisis there is quite difficult to address. People dying, children dying of malnutrition and all of that. International community role. The international community's role, that is, despite various attempts, peace initiatives face challenges from shifting regional alliance, complex US policy stance, and global divisions over approaches to the conflict. Even the globe itself. Sometimes, even when the General Assembly at the United Nations, the General Assembly, that's the head of states, make noise. It still doesn't work. So political fragmentation within Palestinian leadership is a challenge. The division between the Hamas and which govern what part of the West Bank and Hamas which control Gaza has weakened political or Palestinian political unity and bargaining power. You understand? So Hamas and the PA have conflicting ideologies and strategies, making it difficult to because Hamas want it anyhow we want it, we want it. But the PA are going gently, deploying all diplomatic means to see if they can grab something and go with. Do you understand? But Hamas want it now and by force to collect it. Israeli settlement in the West Bank. So Israeli settlement have expanded throughout the West Bank, and these things have become a challenge. Security concerns and violence, Jerusalem and religious sites, which all the religious groups claim rights over, are also a challenge. Palestinian refugee crisis and the right of return, another challenge. Economic inequality and humanitarian crisis. Yes, majority of Palestinians are poor. They don't even have a job, they don't have anything. You understand why the Israelis are doing well. So all of this exacerbated the crisis. You understand? Regional geopolitics. Yes. So recent normalization, like Israel having good relationship with their other Arab neighbors and others, don't a problem, it's a challenge. International involvement and polarization are also some of the challenges. What is the prospect for peace here? Are there any prospects for peace? Yeah, we have two-state solution. Your President Tinubu recent in Saudi Arabia mentioned this that we are still supporting two-state solution, right? So despite challenges, the two-state solution, an independent Palestinian alongside Israel is still supported by many international actors. Your president supported it. The idea is theoretically viable but complicated by settlement expansion. Do you understand now? And it's a strategy that is putting in place to make it so difficult because they have the means, they have the power. So they are doing it to make it difficult to get that happen. And even if eventually it happens, even the West Bank, Palestine will not get. You understand? Not to talk of Jerusalem. They will not even near it with that expansion if it continues the way it's going. You understand? So for a two-state solution to succeed, there will need to be significant compromises on border. There will what need to be significant compromises on border security arrangement and potentially land swap. Land swap. That's if Israel can say, okay, despite the fact that we have 50 settlement, you can take this one and take this one. It's possible. Or the Palestinians say, well, let it go. We don't want any more. We can go our own way. Let's have our own state. And for me, if for one, if I'm one of them, I will just say, let's have our whatever we have, let us go. Even religious site, we can build new ones. Do you understand? But these things I'm saying this, maybe I'm saying it because I'm not involved directly, but I feel that whatever, God is everywhere. Do you understand? So and then borders. So border issues can also be compromised. We have to, if we must move forward, we must compromise. So one state solution, the one state solution where Israelis and Palestinians live as equal citizens in a single state is proposed by some as an alternative. However, this approach faces considerable resistance from both sides. For Israel, a one state solution could challenge its identity as Jewish state. For Palestinians, there is a fear of becoming a marginalized minority, even though you see the majority, but have been pushed some on refugees and now they look as if they are not in much number. Do you understand? So this solution would also require significant legal, social, and cultural integration that could be difficult to achieve. Are you seeing the issue now? That's why this Even when we are talking about the prospect of for peace, you say how complex and challenging it is, right? But these are the prospects for peace that we're talking about. But see how challenging this is. Then incremental or temporary agreement. So in the absence of a comprehensive peace deal, smaller steps or interim agreements may help build trust and improve conditions. Yes, if they are making little effort, maybe they build trust, and then whatever effort, whatever agreement you have in the interim, don't betray it, don't abuse it. Don't abuse it, continue to build trust, and then eventually you have what you want. These steps could include economic cooperation, easing of movement restrictions, security cooperation, or effort to prevent settlement expansion. Grassroots peace-building initiatives. Grassroots efforts and non-governmental peace-building initiatives seek to foster dialogue and understanding between Israelis and Palestinians. These efforts focus on creating shared cultural and economic projects, promoting dialogue and humanizing each side's perspective. So once we have that, it will begin to eat deep in the system. And of course, the young generation that is coming up, they get to grow with attitudes of peace rather than the violence that we have now. Otherwise, every Palestinian child is come with the orientation that Israelis are bad people, and of course, they should be defeated, they should be killed, they should be eliminated from that land. Do you understand? That is the belief. So, international diplomatic support and economic aid can also go a long way to help. Focus on human rights and accountability can also help. So, these are the issues that we have here. And I think now you have an idea of what the history of conflict between Israel and Palestine is, and of course, you also have the what are the things that are responsible for the continuation of this conflict and the challenges, the prospects for peace. So, thank you very much. I think this is the much we can take today. Somebody is asking, can the land swap happen between the Israel and the PA, that is the Palestinian Authority? It's possible, but there are elements of mistrust in between now. Despite the fact that the PA is using different structure and different approach, it's possible that they can experience that. But with the state of things now, where there is high level of mistrust, it is practically impossible. You understand? It's practically impossible until they are able to build some level of understanding, level of trust in their relationship that they can be able to, address that challenge of swapping land. So, but it's possible. But it's possible, But certain things must happen before that can be achieved. So, all together now. So, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow by 7 p.m. See you tomorrow. Good night.